All right. Oh, let's see how this old Mercedes starts after a month of not being started. Turn that off. Ah, starts up. All right, it starts up. So this is John. This is a 92 300E W124 with a M103 engine. Mercedes-Benz. It's an old classic now. So I've been working on and off on this car for years. You know, whenever I find something wrong, I try to fix it. I have one last it's not a mechanical issue that I have to fix, but it's an oil leak that's always bugged me. It's always bugged me. I'll kind of show you what it is. It's about a 6-hour job according to the book. Yeah, so it's I have to take the intake manifold off, right? That whole side of the engine. And I'll show you some pictures I found, and it's what it is it's leaking. There's a leak at the oil filter housing. It's a little housing bracket that attaches to the side of the block on that side, and there's a gasket there. I already have the gasket, and under pressure it leaks there, and it kind of there's like a little shelf along the middle of the block, and it pools up there. You can clean it off, and it takes a couple months. Not a huge leak, but it's enough to make a pool of oil on that little shelf. And when you turn corners and stuff, it'll overflow and go down, and when you come home, you'll be dripping on your driveway, and it just makes a mess. I really don't want to do this job, but I'm bored. So we're in Southern California here. What is all this? I redone the head gasket on this, and a lot of parts on the engine, the mechanicals. So I'm thinking I'd like to pull the whole intake off with the fuel distributor attached and all the lines and the fuel injectors, but I don't think I could do that. I think that I can leave the fuel distributor off, but I have to take off all the metal injector lines and take the injectors out, because the injectors kind of protrude just a little bit when it's on the manifold is bolted up to the head. The injectors protrude just a little bit, and trying to get that thing off and wrestling it off, you could damage those injectors. I did replace the injectors in I think in 2006. There's injectors. Now it's about $250, a little bit more than that maybe, for a kit with injectors, the seals and everything. There's the injector that's got a black O-ring on it. So there's 6 of those, right? I'll order those. And then they sit in this little plastic cone thing that sits into the manifold in the hole. And those have a seal also. Anyways, I'm gonna take a car around the block, get the fluids to move. This is my son's car. He's had it for, I don't know, 13 plus years. You know, we try to keep our cars for as long as we can, because we know how to fix things. You know, I'm not a professional mechanic or anything. I just, something breaks around me, something, you know, be a refrigerator. my research on how the refrigerator works and what parts are in it, and do my diagnosis and find the part and replace it, and the refrigerator works again. Same with the car. It's not hard. All the information is out there, you know. Anyways, it's Super Bowl Sunday. What time is it? I don't even know. Could be 1 o'clock. I think it starts in a couple hours. So yeah, so I've just never wanted to mess with that side of the engine with the fuel distributor, because the engine runs so good, you know. I mean, you can really mess things up. Hopefully not. I go, why does it take 6 hours? A 6-hour job? You know, we'll get into it, and it's probably maybe a 2 or 3 part. I'm just gonna take my time, because I like to clean things as I go, repaint things, clean things. I might replace a motor mount on that side. You know, first we're gonna have to take all the stuff off the top. I'm gonna have to take a video of all the wires, all the vacuum lines, the way everything is routed, because it's a spaghetti factory under there. Gotta get everything off the top, and then gotta jack the car up and remove the starter that's buried underneath on that side to be able to get to the brackets. Maybe I won't have to, but I'm looking at pictures and stuff. That starter's kind of in the way. There's one line that starts over here on the passenger side of the, I guess it would be the right side of the engine, and it goes and snakes around behind the engine. It's a metal hard line. It's an EGR line, and it goes and it connects underneath to the intake manifold somewhere. And you know, I've tried to get to that. I wanted to see if that tube was clear a long time ago, and I could, you know, try and get a wire through the tube to see if it was plugged up. I couldn't. You know, I'll just undo the thing at this side. Man, I looked under there. I said, holy crap, gotta remove all this crap to get to that one nut that's holding it. Oh, clear. At least the air conditioning still works on this car. Still the old R12, man. I did a good job. I redid the air conditioner on here. I mean, all the, you know, I pulled the dashboard off, and all new vacuum pods, a nightmare. That was a 10-hour job. Just taking it apart was like 10 hours for this, to get to all the vacuum pods and remove the HVAC box, which is huge. Those who have done it know what I mean. This one, on any car, the nightmare is removing the dash to get the parts underneath it. So that's my plan of action. It's supposed to, today's a Sunday, and we're supposed to start having like a rainstorm, heavy rains, for about 4 to 5 days straight. So, you know, I'll try doing a little bit, and I'm gonna have to wait it out. God, this car just drives great. So my son's been he's been looking for a job. I mean, he hasn't worked since last June. He's taken time off, you know. He was working pretty hard at what he was doing before, and he goes, no, I'm gonna take some time off. I did that in my life, you know. And so he's been applying at different places and stuff, and I figure this is about the only time I'm gonna have to fix that oil leak, that dreaded oil leak. Oh my God, thing's been haunting me forever. It shouldn't be too hard, and it shouldn't be very expensive. I think all I have to do is buy a intake manifold gasket, the injector O-rings, buy a little lithium grease to lubricate all that, you know, those rings, and there is some kind of where the fuel distributor attaches to to some kind of a some kind of a big old base. I think it's made out of metal, and then the bottom of that is a big rubber. I don't know what you call it, but we'll inspect that. Before ordering all the parts, I want to take the whole thing off and see what parts I do need to get it back together. And it's possibly there's going to be vacuum hoses, they're going to be cracked, you know, although, you know, there's no indication of any vacuum leaks on this car, so. But sometimes when you take that stuff off, it'll crack, and we'll have to do that. Then on a side note, I know that my channel is called My German Cars, but I have other cars, you know. I've had people ask me about my Lincoln, and so I think I'm going to include my other cars on this channel, you know, just put it on a side playlist for each one. It's just a Kia van. It's been super reliable. Oh my god, 2002 Kia van. You know, everybody complains, oh, Kia's junk. Yeah, you know, they're plastic, but you know what? All these new cars and all this stuff is plastic anymore, you know? Plastic door handles, this, that. And I got the Lincoln, and for that car is a 2006 Lincoln Signature Limited. And I bought it a couple years ago with 20,000 miles on it. It now has 25,000 miles. Okay, let's wait for these people to decide what they want to do. Okay, I won't turn, buddy. And for some reason, the paint on the roof and the trunk has decided to just turn to crap. You know, whenever it rains, there'll be bubbles. Big bubbles in the paint. Just only on the roof, only on the trunk. The damn car is 19 feet long. And yeah, I could take it somewhere, have them do the job, but right now, with the economy and our financial situation, you know, things are going kind of south on us, but everything will recover. But I'm going to paint it myself. I've got the spray guns, I got the compressor. I painted this car, the trunk on this car, and two rear fenders. It came out decent, you know, single stage paint, no clear coat. That's what I'm going to do again. And just, I mean, just for a quart of paint, can be over 100, could be up between $100 and $150 for 1 quart of paint. I mean, single stage paint. You know, I'll use single stage paint because I'll park it just like this, so I can work on it nice. God, that air conditioner is working really good. Temperature's really good. Wow, stoked. Okay. Yeah, I use the single stage paint because I paint it out on the driveway. You know, when you with this car, single stage, Arctic White, matched perfectly. That from TC Global. With a clear coat is nice if you have a spray booth, you know, but you get all kinds of trash in the paint. Right, when you're painting outside, there'll be like a little bug, little gnat will land in it, you know, and you know, after the paint is dried up and stuff, you can sand that off, buff it, sand it. But if it's clear coat, you gotta be real careful, because if you burn through the clear coat, then you got a big old spot showing, you know, that could be a nightmare. So I'm just gonna do single stage. Yeah, I'll show you the Lincoln. Okay, so here's the 2006 Lincoln. Mechanically, it's great. I never have to do anything. And these things are like Toyotas, and you know, they last forever. You know, I've seen these things with 700,000 miles, same engine, same transmission. It's a Panther platform. You know, they use the same thing. I think it's Crown Victoria, Mercury Grand Prix. Is it Mercury Grand Prix? No, Mercury something, forget. But yeah, it's just a 4.6 V8. Plenty of power. coldest air conditioning in the world. Inside is perfect. I've got it off a 90-year-old man, but see this? When I bought the car, it had one spot missing, and I asked, the grandson was selling it, and I asked him, I go, what happened there? Oh, my grandfather hired somebody to detail the car, and they used a pressure washer and it blew the paint off. So Ford had a problem with a lot of this white paint. They actually had 2 lawsuits where you know, a lot of pickup trucks were you know, starting to lose their paint. You can see on the roof right here. And your little spots are starting there. So basically, I just have to you know, I'm gonna buy a plastic car cover and just tape it down and cut out the parts that I need. What's weird is none of the other parts are having any problem with paint. This is an aluminum hood. I think that's the reason for it. They didn't prepare the paint right in when they were painting parts of this car, because I've looked at the primer underneath and it's really super smooth, kind of green. I don't know what they did, but the paint didn't stick to the primer, you know, so you end up with this nastiness like this, and it just keeps going, you know. And when it rains, other spots will start popping up. I think this is a single stage paint. They didn't use a clear coat, so there's no clear coat peeling at all anywhere. So that's going to be a project when the weather warms up, like maybe in June. This one, I can work on this one during the winter, although it's really nice out right now. Yeah, so I just got to start. I got to take the air cleaner off. Got plenty of room. I can jack it up there and all that stuff. Disconnect this. Always disconnect your battery. You don't have to. I would, though. I don't like things sparking on me, you know. This battery is almost like brand new. My son bought it last summer. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Cover it up. I usually keep this car, it's been covered all summer. Okay, done with that. Then I can put the hood in service position. Yeah. So we'll look at some pictures on the internet and you'll see what I'm talking about. And, you know, when I searched YouTube, I couldn't find hardly any information on removing the intake manifold on one of these cars. I did find one guy with a 190. Is that W201 chassis? It's either W201, W202, I forget. I think it's W201. But the 190s, very similar engine, almost exact. You know, but it's like a, I think the highest one there was a 2.8. But if you look at it, it's like same setup and everything. 300 SC has a M103, that's a W26, same engine, same setup. These came in variants where, you know, they started at lower, like 200E and up. Actually went to, I think a 400E in, is it 93? That would have been a fun car. I wish we would have had a 400E. But, you know, you got a lot of room to work in this with the M119, the SL here. This is the SL 500, big engine. Not much room to work on, but you can do stuff still. But this was the most common one in the United States, was the 300E, and the smaller variants are mostly, from what I've seen, are in, you know, overseas, England, the UK, just different countries. I don't know why. I don't know if the government did want big displacement, anything there. insurances, who knows. Anyway, so I'm going to slowly work on this thing, and I'll do what I can, keep you updated. Okay. Okay, so here's the intake manifold on the car. I'm using an iPhone now. I have the GoPro that I use when I sometimes when I'm working on the cars, and I can use two hands, put a head strap on, and you got a camera. You don't have to like hold something. So it's a GoPro 12. It's good. It's good for certain things. Other things, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But this is the intake manifold, and you've got your air cleaner sits right here. You've got, I think, 10 bolts that go through here. Those are easy to get to. I've had those off many times when I've had the head off. There's your fuel distributor right there. I think the fuel distributor comes off pretty easy with, I think there's 3 screws. And these are all your injector lines. Yeah, let's look at them. Fuel pressure regulator. They have to undo the one from the tank. That can stay on. You got your idle control. Is it MAP or MAF or whatever it is? You know what I mean. Then you got your injectors. 1, 2, hiding 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a cold start valve. I've had these injectors off. You know, when I had to replace it, it wasn't that hard of a deal. So I was thinking I'm just gonna, since I don't have any problems down here, you know, I don't have any problems. You never know though, when you put stuff back together, things can go south on you. I forget what this side is for. We'll have to look at that. Yeah. But let's see what else we got here. I think that's the same one. So see, here's the oil leak right here. This is what I'm talking about. This is an M103. Here's your, your oil filter, and then you've got the 4 Allens here, and there's some of them are really hard to get to without, there's no. I couldn't find hardly anybody that's ever replaced or had a problem where they had to replace that. I could scour the internet for the last several years. And it just drips down to this kind of shelf here. See that line? And it pulls up right here. And when it leaks enough, then it starts going down the bottom. And it looks like a rear main seal, because it's right at the back, right where their transmission goes up to it. Okay. Now here's the guy on YouTube, and this is a M103 engine, and I don't know why he's doing this, but he's trying to convert it. He's trying to, I think he's trying to get rid of the fuel distributor, and he put some kind of a rail here for the fuel injection that connects to the, injectors. And please don't paint your valve cover that color, okay? Don't paint it that color. It's crazy. So, but this is what it looks like, okay? So there's the oil filter, okay? There's 1, 2, and then 3, 4 behind it. These Allens, hard to get. And because I think this one and maybe another one, because you can't get an Allen straight into it, because there's this metal here of the housing or whatever. So got to figure that out. You're gonna have to have a real small Allen with some kind of a thing. I might have something like that that'll work. Okay. Here's the back of M103. And there's the bracket again. Okay. See, it's got like a bolt here, and I think a bolt here, and a bolt here. And that's where it drips at the very back of the engine. And that's what all this has to come off. Okay, to get access. There's one or two of them I can get to, but the other two I can't get to them. So I even try to bother taking. I posted it up on Ben's World, and I really haven't found anybody that's done the job. So I may be the first in history. Anyway, so that's that. Okay. What is it? Go this way. Anyways, so some more info. So this is the mechanical electronic injection KEM103. Jetronic, I think. 86 through 93. So, okay, so I'm going to look for testing. This is pretty good stuff here. Removing fuel distributor, removing install KE control unit. More testing. There's a wiring diagram, which is great. What's this? Removing installing throttle. Where is it? Testing. Determining testing. Removal installation operations. Okay, so removing installing fuel distributor, removing installing fuel. So this just talks about the fuel distributor pretty much. I mean, there's all kinds of, there's wiring diagrams. I hate reading this stuff, but there's wiring diagrams. Good, one page. Great, huh? So you got to go to something else. Okay, here's another page. See the 260, the 300, that lists all the engines. Maintenance manual. So intake manifold control. Removing, installing intake manifold, replacing gasket, replacing intake manifold gasket, removed. So if you look at this first one, intake manifold. So there's the intake manifold. Let's see if maybe I can get a little bit bigger. So there are these supports. I think there's two of them. Not sure. There's some supports that you have to be able to get to these bolts, and the starter sits back here, so I think we have to remove the starter. But it's funny that they just can do this. Ground cable and battery, engine compartment, plastic rail, mixture control, blah 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 blah. There's only 3 pages. Bowden cable for accelerator, all the accelerator, the linkages and stuff. I'm gonna have to mark all this stuff. The Bowden cable, where it's adjusted to for the transmission to shift right and all that. I'm gonna get some paint and mark everything where it's at, so when I go back together, I won't have to adjust anything. That's the only thing I'm afraid of. But yeah, it's real short. It's like 3 pages. Yeah, just take it off. Just take the thing off. So there's that. At least I have this. Okay. Here's another page. Replacing intake manifold. Intake manifold has already been removed. It just says take off and install a new intake manifold. That's Yeah, so I think this is where the fuel distributor setup is, right here, and it goes in there, does its thing. Okay, so let's just keep moving on. Okay, then you have your EGR. you know. So this is the exhaust side. You got an EGR, and that recirculates toxic fumes, probably more emission related than anything else. And then you got your, I believe this is the EGR valve, maybe not, maybe something else. But then it goes to, looks like a fuel, that's the fuel distributor right there. So it just goes in here and feeds it all the nasty gases to go back in and get burned again. But that connection right there, when I was looking for it, I didn't see it there. I saw that it on M103. This is not a correct real diagram, but you have your EGR valve here. You can test it with a vacuum gauge if yours is bad. And I forget, there's certain symptoms where you'll get bad gas mileage and stuff. That's why I was testing it for my son. But these cars don't get good gas mileage to begin with, especially when the gas is supreme and really expensive. But this has got a metal tube that wraps around the back side, goes underneath here, and then just disappears into some inaccessible area. The starter's under there, so we'll remove that so we can get our hands in all of this area underneath this to unloosen the brackets that hold the weight from this thing. I guess it's kind of heavy. We'll see. No problem, right? Okay. So I got it up on the big screen. This is YouTube Mercedes Source, and this is Kent. And he's got some helpful videos. A lot of his videos are geared towards you buying a kit that he supplies for you to repair something. But there's bits of information here that can be very helpful. Now, this is an intake manifold. I don't believe that it's an M103, but it's similar. And look how big that thing is. It looks huge, doesn't it? But it's attached to the head. You can see there's a timing sprocket, and then the head and the lifters and everything. It's a 6-cylinder. I know that when you read the manual and it says to remove your head, this is the way you do it with taking the intake manifold and the head all attached in one unit and taking it out. And you basically need a cherry picker to lift this thing up. It's gonna be so heavy, but we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna take the intake manifold off, and hopefully that's not real heavy. I don't think it is, but I thought that was just kind of a funny looking thing. Anyways, I got my table set up someplace I can set my tools down. Got the toolbox. Super Bowl's about to start, so I'm just going to say this will be just part one. I'll try not to make my videos so long because they can be really long because it takes a long time to do stuff. So I'll see you in the next video.